At any minute, the formal welcome ceremony for King Charles and Queen Camilla gets underway at the White House. You're looking at live pictures. Senior Royals editor at People, Erin Hill, joins us now to talk more about this. Erin, so you can see there the color guard lined up. Let's talk about what this visit means for both the United Kingdom and the United States as far as our special relationship.
Yeah, I mean, this is the highest level of welcome the U.S. can give a visiting head of state, and you can feel that weight in every detail. It's pure pageantry, but it's also diplomacy in motion. You've got a 21-gun salute, hundreds of service members, and the branches of the military represented. So this is a real show of strength and unity between the two countries.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be a really interesting one. What do you expect King Charles III to say in his address to Congress?
Yes, we expect for him to really double down on that longstanding relationship and to acknowledge that these are difficult times and that this is a time to come together. People's hearing that he's going to reference the events from Saturday night in a show of solidarity and really reflect on that 250-year special relationship. So he's above politics here, and he's going to be able to speak on different topics and issues that politicians don't normally do. We're hearing that he's going to speak on his faith and some personal reflections, and of course, I would think he'd bring in the memory of his mother as well, who gave in a 1991 Congress address.
Yeah, and we start to hear the music as we are preparing to see the King and Queen, as well as the President of the United States and the First Lady. And you can start to see some of the officials are starting to make their way there. But you pointed out something interesting, Erin, which is that the last time that this happened was when Queen Elizabeth II visited the United States. This happened all the way back in 1991. We know that she throughout the course of her monarchy, visited the United States 3 times, including that time. But before that, the only other British monarch to have done a state visit, and I'm talking specifically about state visits, was Elizabeth's father, King George VI. And so it is kind of remarkable that King Charles III is conducting this state visit when in all of the history of the United States in modern times, along with the British monarchy, there have only been 3 such state visits. King George VI, Elizabeth II, and now King Charles III.
It is really incredible, and this is the first state visit of his reign. And I think it's going to be interesting to see the difference, because whereas his mother, Queen Elizabeth, was very steady and reserved, King Charles tends to be a bit more expressive and issue-focused. So you'll see him leaning into things like the environment and global cooperation, and it's a slightly more modern, more personal style of kingship.
And I mean, look, these obviously there's going to be a lot of messaging about unity. You can see it's hard. Actually, we're seeing more people get out of this van right now. Yeah. But something, when we talked to you earlier, I loved that you brought up that there's also moments of levity, that there may be some jokes here and there. Of course, this is the 250th anniversary of the United States, but that's because we said thanks but no thanks to Britain, and that maybe we might even hear some of that sort of joking around at the state dinner tonight.
Yeah, and I think we saw that during the state visit in the UK in the fall, and we actually heard King Charles give a really kind of lighthearted note when he was talking about how he was almost married off to the U.S. when he was a young prince, when it was rumored that President Nixon and First Lady Pat Nixon wanted their daughter to marry Prince Charles, and so he made a joke about that, and the whole room really erupted when he did that. So Charles is in on it, and he knows the special relationship that the U.S. has with the UK and the fascination that we have in the royal family, obviously. And I think he leans into that.
Perhaps Princess Diana would have had a better run if that had happened.
Right, exactly. Again, you can see some of the various dignitaries there. I do note I can see the Deputy White House Chief of Staff, James Blair, there greeting some of those officials from the UK who just descended from that from that one vehicle. But you made an interesting point, Aaron, which is that Prince Charles, when he was the Prince of Wales, visited the United States many, many times, mostly having to do with his pet projects, such as they were urban planning, environmental projects that he was passionate about, along with cultural ties. But this, as you point out, marks his first visit to the United States, first U.S. state visit as a monarch. But one of the things that I think is very interesting is this is a much slimmed down monarchy compared to the one that he inherited or that he was heir to from his mother, Queen Elizabeth II. Fewer working royals, tighter public spending optics. We know that obviously, for example, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex are no longer working royals. How does that factor in?
Yeah, and this is ironically something that King Charles, long before his reign, was mindful of. The slimmed down monarchy, not, we remember, as you say, from Queen Elizabeth's reign, when we see the royal family on the balcony, it would be, wall to wall. You couldn't, there was no elbow room. Every single royal family member was on that balcony. And there was this kind of feeling of excess. And so we've seen it slim down, not by choice in many of those instances you referenced, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, and how they were very much part of the plan, and part of that slim down plan. But yes, that's definitely something that King Charles is mindful of. That's how his son, Prince William, views it as well. A slimmed down monarchy is the way to go to keep it propelled into the future. For the monarchy to stand a chance, they have to really prove their worth. And there's a lot of attention on the spending and the cost and the taxpayer-funded side of things. So they're very mindful of that.
And we just saw a couple of the cabinet members greeting different folks. You saw Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, as well as the Vice President. Now, of course, we're still waiting for the main guests to make their way to the podium. But I do want to ask you, picking up on the point that you just made about the slimmed down monarchy. I mean, we're covering this right now from the perspective of the U.S., but I imagine back in Britain, there's a lot of scrutiny of how does this visit go? What would success mean for the folks back in Britain in terms of how this visit goes?
Success would mean he's staying above the political fray, which there's no doubt Charles will do. That's his really only role coming over here, is the soft diplomacy and to foster relationships and the important relationship between these two allied countries. And so it would just be to also present on a global stage who King Charles is as monarch, and to really connect with people and to bring those shared values to the global stage, which is one of unity. And he's going to, I think, make some pointed references to that in his speech to Congress, where he'll stay above the political fray, but he's going to definitely touch on the uncertainty of these times and how important it is to come together. And so we're going to hear messages like that.
I think we're at the moment where we can expect that the King and Queen Camilla will make their appearance. We had just saw a color guardsman walk to the center there as we await the arrival of the vehicle carrying the King and Queen. But it's an excellent point, and as Kelly pointed out, we saw various cabinet officials, including the Defense Secretary, along with the Treasury Secretary and others, Susie Wiles, who's the President's Chief of Staff there, all greeting their counterparts from the United Kingdom. So I suspect that this moment is set to happen very, very shortly. But again, it's an important point to make, which is that the United States and Britain have the relationship has frayed in recent years. And yet there does remain that very special bond. People don't realize that, or people may not remember or even realize that President Trump's mother is actually was born a citizen of the United Kingdom. She was born in Scotland. So the president himself has very close ties to the United Kingdom. And I think that by the King appearing here today, Aaron, and being here and then addressing a joint session of Congress, he's seeking to sort of signal to the rest of the country, to both of our countries, that tie, though it may fray, is still strong.
Yes, and I think it's an important point to make. And for the state dinner, when President Trump was visiting last fall, Buckingham Palace made sure to incorporate some of those touch points to his mother's roots in the UK. I think that was through some of the wine that was served and some of the flowers that were presented to kind of represent where she was from there. So they're very mindful of that. There's attention into all the detail and everything. Nothing happens by accident. Everything is very planned out with meaning behind it. And I think we're seeing that here as well with this. Of course, there's state visit welcomes throughout the year, but it's really dialed up for the allies, and especially for King Charles.
So there's another thing that's sort of interesting to me. One is when he was Prince of Wales, he was given a wider latitude to speak out about the things that he cared about. But now, as the constitutional monarch of the United Kingdom, he is meant to be politically neutral in all facets. I wonder, just having covered this monarchy and Charles in the time that you have, how that plays into his personality. He had always been not cognizant of his role as the Prince of Wales and thus the heir to the throne of the United Kingdom, but also somebody who had very passionate beliefs about things that he cared about. And that must be difficult, even as a monarch, to hold those things back.
Yeah, and I think you're right. As monarch, there's more weight to it in terms of staying above things that are political. But all members of the royal family are really supposed to follow that as well. But there is a little more leeway when you're not the sovereign. And so we have seen him at Prince of Wales be able to highlight some of the important issues for him that could start to delve into more political when it comes to conservation and a lot of things to do with interfaith throughout the years. I mean, he was at the forefront of environmentalism in the 70s, and it was considered pretty radical at the time, and he's stayed with that. And I think, yes, we've seen some of it dialed back because he has to remain even more neutral as monarch. But still, we're seeing elements of that. I think later in the visit, we're going to see him do a nature walk in Virginia and going to, I'm sure, speak to a lot. I think he knows the name of every plant and flower, and it's going to be very interesting to see him in his element.
I want the president and the king mic'd up during that
as
they're going through the gardens.
Trump will say it's just the best flowers.
Yeah, he'll be like
the best trees.
The only thing that
very powerful flowers.
Yeah, exactly.
Very powerful.
Yeah. I do want to I don't know if it's play devil's advocate a little bit here, but realistically, these types of things. I mean, King Charles III, while perhaps beloved, maybe not so much as his mother, Queen Elizabeth II, but doesn't really have that much power to come up with any sort of trade deal, really repair relationship. I mean, this is more optics than anything. Would you agree, or please try and prove me wrong?
It's true. I mean, at the heart of it, the government's in his name. He could extend some sort of but it would cause such a constitutional uproar. So he never would. It is more ceremonial. But the weight of it, when people all over the world think of Britain, think of the UK, it's not necessarily the prime minister that comes to mind in Parliament. It's the royal family, and it's the king. And that's why they dispatch them to all over the world globally, and to their allies and to the Commonwealth, of course, because it's very important. They do represent the country in such a way that you couldn't replace.
Yeah, I think to Kelly's point, it's interesting to me as well that the way historically that the monarchy has tried or attempted to affect change in the United States is never overtly, but done through what I like to call sort of soft power, where they demonstrate for example, during World War II, obviously the prime minister was the one that conducted all relationships with the president, but the royal family in those days served in the British Army in various ways, and as representative of the British people, when the Blitz was on, they showed themselves walking amongst the rooms. They never left London, for example. And that was a way to show our her allies, the United States and others, that this was what they were going to do in the wake of this horrific, like, fascist takeover of
Yes.
Europe. And so I think it's more like that, right? That
Yes, absolutely. And to that point, Queen Elizabeth, when she was princess, worked as a mechanic
Right.
during the war. And they used rations, and you saw them. Yes, they didn't leave. They didn't escape London. They stayed there with the people. And so that's, that history dates back, and they are representative of the people of the UK, and that's why they're very mindful of visits like this, and like you said, the soft power, the soft diplomacy, and how vital that is to the relationship, and it's something only they can do.
Oh yeah, I watched The Crown. I
Yeah.
saw it as a
You saw The
mechanic. Yeah. I'm mindful of the fact that these poor folks, they're sitting out here, they're waiting. We're not sure if the rain is coming yet. But it does make me think there is someone who is managing very carefully. There's probably an entire team, the orchestration of who is going to walk in when, and all of the little details down to touches at the state dinner. What goes into planning this type of visit? Because to your point, this isn't just any type of visit where a prime minister comes. This comes laced with all of these rules and etiquette and very important details that may seem like nothing to you and me, but if something is out of place, it could be, in fact, offensive.
Yeah, I mean, this is carefully choreographed to the last detail. It's a lot of pageantry. You're seeing the spectacle, the music, the troops, the salutes. It's all very intentional, and something that has been planned for such a long time. And so it's down to the minute.
It'll be interesting to see. One of the things that I'm always curious about is, so the President of the United States has a very distinctive way that he shakes hands with other world leaders and dignitaries. He has a tendency to grip the hand very strongly and to yank people. And
it's a power play.
It's a power play. And yet I wonder, although there are strict protocols that happen when the king and before him, Queen Elizabeth shook hands with other dignitaries, I'll be watching for that. Just a little thing there that, well, here we go. All right, so the flags have just been raised.
And
the
you can
Union
see the
Jack and the
photographers
Star
getting
Spangled
ready.
Banner, so we can tell that the photographers are now in position.
Please rise if you are able, as honors are rendered to the
Let's
President
listen.
and remaining standing for the arrival of their Majesties, King Charles III and Queen Camilla, and the playing of the national anthems of the United Kingdom and the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, and First Lady Melania Trump. Ladies and gentlemen, the national anthem of the United Kingdom, followed by the national anthem of the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.